Hello, listeners. I'm Timstradamus, and I want to wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's, because this will be our final episode of this year, and we'll be seeing you guys again January 3rd. And with that little bit of housekeeping done, joining me as always is my talented and festive co-hostess, Voyse.
Good morning, Timstradamus. Santadamus. Yuletide greetings to all snow fairies and elves. Don't forget to eat the 4 main food groups of Christmas: candy, candy canes, candy corn, and syrup.
It sounds like a stomach ache.
It's a little bit of a sweet tooth we have going on.
It sounds like you've been listening to Buddy.
Just a little bit too much. But don't be a cotton-headed ninny muggins.
You sit upon a throne of lies.
But before we go ahead and leave the holidays behind, I would like to go ahead and treat us to 2 jokes.
Oh.
2 jokes. The first joke. What happened to the man who stole an advent calendar?
He got arrested and didn't spend any time with anyone.
And you're very close. He actually got 25 days. But this one is especially for you for the holidays. What's the most popular Christmas wine?
A Santa on the rocks?
That's really cute. But no, it's actually, but I don't like Brussels sprouts.
How dare you? Not a shot at me.
It's a wine, get it?
I hate Brussels sprouts. That is a real complaint, not a wine.
Oh man, I saw that joke and I was like, this is so Timstradamus.
Wow. It was a good one though.
Thank you. When you realized. I'm too good.
Yeah. For all our new listeners, Voyse and I enjoy reading and talking about stories from the internet that are interesting, funny, and dramatic. Because of our love of stories, we've come together and created this channel to share with you those experiences.
And hopefully give you some food for that.
So Voyse.
Timstradamus.
I'm looking to get on the Polar Express. What have you made for me today?
Today I made for you a doozy, and boy will it send you on a trip. This was actually a prepared tea that I received from my Christmas party at work. And I wasn't expecting quite this taste. Let me go ahead and let you know what the ingredients have. It says it's made with lemongrass, peppermint, anise seed, and ginger. So I can't wait to see what you think of this.
Ooh! I mean, it's wonderful.
I actually forgot 2 other ingredients: cinnamon and rooibos.
What is that taste?
I think they put an overabundance of cinnamon in it, so much so that it's like one of those little spicy candies, you know, the circle balls, the hot balls.
Yes, I don't like that. It's in a cup.
It's sweet and spicy.
Oh, that's a 1. I don't know if I've rated anything a 1. That's it, baby. Right before the year ends, that's it.
That's it. I found.
What is this called?
It's actually called sweet and spicy.
This is bad. I'm gonna leave it out for Santa.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and actually give you a hint as to what some of these stories are, because I think they're all pretty spicy.
Oh no.
So let's see if I can give us a treat before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes. For any listeners wanting to follow along, all story links are in the description below. For our first story. Am I the a-hole for giving my husband's half-cooked sister-in-law a reality check about her bullshit at a family gathering?
Merry Christmas.
My female 25 husband, male 29, has a very delusional sister-in-law, female 27, who we will call Kelly. Kelly is the girlfriend of my husband's late brother. They were not married, but was allowed to be called sister-in-law for the sake of their 4-year-old son, hence the title half-cooked sister-in-law. Kelly was actually a nice person at first, but her delusional tendencies just goes way over the top. She once had a cousin of my husband accused of seducing her, cause in her words, he was madly in love with her, which was never true, as he actually was the same to everyone else as he was with her. My issue started with her when she started targeting my husband and requesting all kinds of bullshit from him. She once asked him to sleep in their unit because she said her son was scared. Mind you, they only had one bed and it was on the floor in the middle of a tiny square room, which was the whole unit. We asked her to just come over to our home, which was bigger and had enough space for her to stay for a while. Since we also have a spare room she and the child could use, she refused and insisted on my husband to come over. My husband refused and told his mom, who had Kelly go over to their house and stay for a while. Second incident was when she insisted that my husband should go with her and her child to the mall and spend some time together. Because according to her, she needs help because she's a helpless single mother with a fatherless child, and her child needs a father figure. My husband asked if I could go with them, but she made excuses why I can't go. My husband then outright refused and said to just bring the maid assigned to her kid, because my mother-in-law sponsored a maid for them after all the things she complained about. After all that, Kelly starts to pick on things my husband likes. He likes that I wear skin-tight dresses and leggings because it complemented my bum. She started wearing the same clothes. My husband likes the certain food I make for him. She learns how to make the food and purposely making too much so she can give some to him in front of me with a shit-eaten grin. And it did not stop there. She also tries to copy me as much as she can. Whenever I buy something new, she buys the same thing the next 3 to 4 days. My husband and I like dogs, so I adopted a puppy. And what do you know? She has one a week after. She copies everything, clothes, makeup, jewelry, etc. It was getting a little creepy. Until one day at a family gathering, she just outright stated that my husband's nephew, her child, looks so much like my husband and would pass off as his kid. And my husband looks nothing like his nephew. His nephew literally has his late father's face, like it was copied and pasted, while my husband and his brother look nothing alike. I blurted out a very audible, "No, they don't," which was followed by my husband's sister saying, "Are you blind? They look nothing like each other. I would say he has his father's face." Kelly then responded, "Actually, people would mistake them like father and son." She then proceeds to whip out her phone and show the wallpaper of it as my husband and his nephew smiling together. I look at the phone and her and said, "Oh, is this why you've been trying to get my husband's attention the whole time?" Confused, my mother-in-law asked, "What do you mean?" I then casually said, "Well, why don't you ask Kelly? She's been trying to get my husband alone with her for some time now. Good thing your son's not an idiot." Kelly then starts shouting, "What the hell is your problem? I was just trying to give my son some normalcy and experience having a family and father. By trying to take my husband? You are a homewrecker in the making, a stalker and a creep. No wonder no one would date you. God, your child would be better off without his whore of a mom in his life," I yelled back at her. I stood up and thanking everyone for their time and proceeded to leave with my husband. On the way home, my husband told me that what I said wasn't nice. I asked him if he was defending her. He said no. He said that Kelly deserves to be told off, but not in a humiliating manner and definitely not in front of the kids. We didn't talk on the rest of the way home. I'm now here typing this out in the toilet. I just really couldn't take her delulu self anymore, and that's why I exploded. So am I the a-hole, by the way? Sorry if it sounds so confusing. English really isn't my first language, and I am still learning.
I think your English was perfectly fine. I understood that story. Unfortunately, the good and the bad of it. This one is a mess because at first, when you hear the title and she starts going about midway through, I'm fully on her side. I'm hearing it. I'm understanding what Kelly is doing, but there's a shift in this story. And my gut tells me it's right around the time she starts seeing what's happening. Because at that point, instead of, I don't know if ROP was kind of baiting it along. Because when she started realizing that Kelly was copying everything she was doing, right? Down to the clothes, the makeup, cooking of food. At that point, as Kelly's unofficial sister, because that's what she was technically before the passing of her brother-in-law, unfortunately. at that point, compassion should have kicked in my mind. I understand the whole Delulu talk and the petty and all of that stuff. But as someone who's caring, you should have seen that and went, my sister needs help. Because it's not just your sister. She's also a mom. She has a kid. You should have gotten her some help and tried to get her off of the train that she clearly was on, because she was trying to get your husband. I understand all those things. But how long ago did her boyfriend pass? The father of her son. Do we know?
No, I'm not sure about that.
How far into the depression spiral has she gone without any help?
Could have been quite a bit.
And that's where I understand the whole, hey, you're not the a-hole, and she was trying to steal your man's talk. But I look at that, and halfway through, that completely stopped for me. She needed help. You allowed it to keep going because you're telling me through the story that you're seeing how she's copying and doing things. And then, to top everything off at the very end, yes, she says something outlandish, and it's very disrespectful to her late father of her son to say that anyone's face outside of his was on his child. Yes, I understand that that's very disrespectful, and to say that in front of everyone at a family function, some type of event was going on.
Family gathering.
I understand the heat of that moment and you making sure that you told her off and said no. And that's probably where it should have stopped, or at least been taken out of the room, because from my understanding, you did this in front of the kids. Not just yours, but however old your nephew was, you did it in front of him. In my mind, all of you are the a-holes. There are no winners here. All I see is someone very lost in Kelly that you should have taken to the side and tried to get some help along the way. Maybe I'm not seeing it the way I should, but if that's true family, that nephew is still your nephew. I don't know how close you were to your brother-in-law, but I think if that was me in that situation, and I've spoken this way with my brother, if something ever happens to me, please watch after Voyse. And so maybe that's where I'm getting too much into my feels, because I would want someone to be there for you if something happened. And I didn't hear any of that compassion. All I heard was you were willing to watch the train crash.
I definitely appreciate your perspective, Timstradamus. The consensus on Reddit is that our OP's not the a-hole. A lot of them say that last part could have been done much better and should have really stopped. But it seems like the stress of having to deal with someone who clearly was trying to move in on your partner and wasn't understanding or respecting the boundaries that were there, it's not unreasonable to know that you were pushed beyond your boundaries. Let me go ahead and provide you the update to our poster. So they say, update. Thanks for all the comments and votes. This will be a little update for what happened the past few hours. I get where I may be an a-hole, but with the feelings I had, not really possible. I'm quite the person with anger issues. It has died down a bit because I got some help and also the support of my husband. But there are times where you really just can't control it. By the way, my husband and I had a little talk about the incident. He said I wasn't wrong in the part of correcting her, but was wrong in the part where I've insulted her. He was just a little disappointed with how I handled the situation, letting my anger take control of me. As for my mother-in-law, she called us and asked if I was okay. She did reprimand me for my actions, but was also sympathetic of the fact that I was offended by Kelly. She asked if Kelly and I could come over and have a talk, straighten things out, and see if Kelly needs help. She explained how Kelly's actions may not be favorable, but her situation is something to feel pity too. Mother-in-law thought that losing her son, Kelly's husband-ish, and having to take care of a child alone was too much for her, which is why she asks if it would be okay if I talked to Kelly and explain to her why what she did wasn't okay. And if Kelly refuses to listen, then mother-in-law said she would have to handle it herself. As for my husband, he understands if I'm not ready to face Kelly, but tells me it would be the better option and suggests that we would go low contact with her for a while, not completely cutting her off for the sake of the child. I'll update you guys if anything else happens. Now let me go ahead and also add, apparently the sister of Kelly actually responded in the comments section, and I will go ahead and read that because you and I can only understand the perspective of Kelly through just our OP. Let's see how you feel after hearing it from Kelly's sister. Kelly's sister says, I don't think Lexi is the a-hole here. My sister has been a nuisance to everyone. You think she did all that because she's grieving? Hell no. She's been cheating on her boyfriend even before he died. She even wanted to abort the kid because she didn't know who the father might be, but she lucked out because the kid looks like her dead boyfriend. The bitch even went out of her way to steal my boyfriend. The last straw was my ex-fiancé whom she fucked after the death of her boyfriend. None of my family members would talk to her. They cut her off completely. I, on the other hand, keep tabs on her. She's batshit crazy. Lexi, tell me what time you're going to meet your mother-in-law and that witch. I'll be going with you.
Well, I guess I'm going to retract everything I just said. This one has been a wild story. A lot of ups and downs.
I was very shocked when I read that we could understand from another perspective, because during this entire read from the OP, I had been wondering, where is Kelly's family in all this? Because all that we hear is OP and OP's in-laws being there for Kelly, but why would Kelly not have any of her family around?
Yeah.
Now, I can understand it if Kelly has always pushed the boundaries of everything that was morally correct. If you're going around and sleeping around, especially when it comes to other siblings, partners, yeah, I can understand why family would cut ties with that. Now, to say that there aren't more things that are, I guess you could say, that Kelly needs to work on, I feel like she needs a lot of therapy. There's something that's inherently askewed when it comes to her priorities in life. I do wish her the best, and I think one of the commenters said it right. This whole thing, when I thought of Kelly, screamed The Office. Kelly from The Office. And I think it actually fits.
Definitely. Hopefully she goes and gets some counseling and some help.
Well, let's go to our next story and see if I can shock you with our next one.
I don't know if you can. That one was such a shocker.
We'll see. Am I the a-hole for interrupting my 50 female daughter's 22 female sex because she was too loud?
You might be able to shock me.
Burner so my son doesn't see. Recently, my 50 female daughter, 22 female, was in a car accident and got out of the hospital 4 weeks ago. She unfortunately lost her leg, but all else is well. She's very insecure about her injury, and while in the hospital only wanted her ex-boyfriend, 23 male, to sit with her. She begged him to take care of her while she recovered at home, and he agreed. They broke up the day of, over dumb stuff, and are essentially still together, which was made clear recently. This afternoon, I came home early from visiting family. When I came inside, I immediately heard my daughter having sex upstairs. I tried to go into our basement to avoid the noise, but still behind 2 floors and 4 doors, I still heard the noises. I waited at least 20 minutes before I went upstairs and knocked on the door and asked them to stop. They did. But my daughter was embarrassed, and I could hear her crying. About 20 minutes later, her boyfriend came out and apologized and told me my daughter was not happy at all. I talked to her, and she told me I should have just went outside or something. She's really upset about it, and it has me wondering, am I the a-hole? Clarifications? I wasn't supposed to come home until about 2 hours after I interrupted. Her brother wasn't supposed to be home until the same time, and my husband until 3 hours.
Okay, so this answered the one question I had. This is their family home.
Correct.
Okay. I'll start with this. I'm sorry to hear about your daughter's accident. Loss of a leg can't be easy. And the good part here is, at least it sounds like she has a caring boyfriend.
And a good support system with her family.
Yes. So, let's get into it. Our daughter thinks that no one's at home, and they have a window here of about a couple hours, give or take. Boyfriend comes over, and they have a little bit of fun. I understand. They're grown adults. Now, apparently, she is way loud.
2 floors and 4 doors later.
You'd think it, especially when it's the family home, you would be a little more aware, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Cautious?
In my opinion, I don't think you would be the a-hole. I don't see anything rude. You didn't like kick down the door and go full commando on people.
Well, the consensus on Reddit, it felt pretty split. There were a section of Redditors that said not the a-hole for your reasons. This is your parents' home. You're in someone else's home. You really should be mindful of that. Even if you expect them to come at a later time, I mean, at least keep an ear out. There was the other section of Redditors that said, you're the a-hole. Your daughter's just experienced something really traumatic. It's great that she's actually able to have intimate relations knowing that she's lost a leg and that would cause a lot of insecurities in herself. I thought this actually stemmed into some pretty hilarious conversation within the comment section. Plenty of individuals came out and tried to call out OP saying she lost her leg a month ago and she's already getting the hanky-panky on? That doesn't make sense. That's where the conversation gets interesting. First things first, while our OP says that she got out of the hospital 4 weeks ago, there's no amount of time that she actually put down when it came to how long she was in the hospital for.
Okay.
Let me just go ahead and answer that right then and there. The other part of that is some individuals can't believe that after losing a leg and potentially the pain that she'd be in, being on any kind of pain medicine, that there would be any drive to want to be intimate. And there was a section of Redditors that came out and said, look, you'd be surprised. Your body going through such tremendous changes and then being on any kind of painkiller and opioids, you have an increased sex drive for whatever reason. And plenty of people came out with their experiences concerning that. And boy, are there a lot of experiences out there that was shared. So just to clarify, it doesn't matter what kind of changes your bodies go through. You can be intimate at any time. And nor should you, I suppose you could say, have a closed-minded perception that just because someone is in pain that they can't be intimate with their loved one. A lot of the times that tends to be fuel for them to remind themselves that they are loved and appreciated. It's that intimacy that they need to remember that they are alive.
Sure.
Now, let's go on to our update from our OP. They said, my daughter's boyfriend is an officer in the Air Force, graduated high school at 15, college at 19, genius. My daughter and him want to get married so they can get a base housing and get her physical therapy. They've been together 7 years, not like they met 1 year ago. Everyone's calmed down and she won't have obnoxiously loud sex anymore.
I think that's all this comes down to. It's not like over the top stuff. It's just tone it down just a smidgen while we're all sharing this house. It's a communal living space. You owe at least some of the courtesy there.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm not saying that people are wrong for the way they feel about you should have let her do this because she's feeling herself and she's getting better and it's healthy, but you can do that without it being cranked up to 100.
I definitely agree with that. I think the title really threw me off.
I was ready for something different.
Well, let's go to our next story and see what you think about a potentially crashed honeymoon. Now, just to let you know, Timstradamus, this one was actually flagged that they needed advice. So let's see if you can give this OP some advice.
Let's see if we can.
Am I the a-hole for telling my fiance's mother why she can't come on our honeymoon?
The gifts keep on giving.
My future mother-in-law has a very unhealthy relationship with my fiance. We are low contact with her since he says she makes him feel uncomfortable by her constantly hugging and kissing him and also using him as her therapist. She's been doing this since he was young, using him to help her solve her adult problems. She does this thing where she copies what I do to my fiancé. For instance, if I kiss his cheek, she'll find a way to do the same. I thought I was going crazy when I first noticed she does this, so I tested it out by running my fingers through his hair and she did the same thing. My fiance is in therapy and says they have an emotionally incestuous relationship, which is toxic for them both. So he's trying to set boundaries with her so they can have a healthy relationship. So far, it's not really working since she doesn't understand why she can't force him to hug or kiss her or use him to help her with her issues anymore. She cornered me at my future brother-in-law's housewarming party and told me she feels like she and my fiance's relationship isn't the same anymore. So she'd like to come on our honeymoon because he'll be off work and they can talk things through and bond. Obviously, I said no, that's not happening, and this grown woman was genuinely shocked I said no. She kept asking why. What are you guys going to be doing that her and future father-in-law can't be with us? She got the idea from Facebook. Apparently, people have honeymoons with their friends now. I said, we haven't had 2 weeks to just be together since my fiance got promoted at work a year ago. We're both looking forward to being together. She said, why can't we all just be together? We won't be all that busy since we've been to the country we're honeymooning in countless times. We've seen the tourist attractions, etc. So why can't she come? She kept pestering me, so I flat out told her I'd be having sex with her son all day, every inch of that villa, so we won't really have time for all the things she wants to do with my fiance. I thought this would make her uncomfortable, and she'd realize how crazy her request is. I was wrong. She said sex isn't that exciting for us to spend all our honeymoon doing it. There's only so many positions, she said. She said some other things, which still makes me cringe a week later. Future mother-in-law offered a compromise. She'd come week 2 of our honeymoon and bond with her son since he has a high-stress job and is constantly working. She even said we can be as loud as we want. They won't mind. I told her we'd just like to be alone enjoying each other's company. We can plan a holiday next year. Future father-in-law called me to personally ask that they can come even for 5 days so that they can bond with my fiancé. They used to be so close. I explained that we would be busy and we could plan a holiday next year. He seems to understand, but then messaged me at 1 a.m. today to call me an a-hole who doesn't care I'm ruining a mother and son's relationship. Am I an a-hole? Future sister-in-law called me to tell me her mother's been crying for days because of what I said to her. She says to avoid more drama, I should just give in because her mother will make my life a living hell. Should I?
So, when you were reading to me this story, there's like a voice in my head, and all it was saying was, why you being so stupid? Like this entire time. Because this story, like, it's up there. There's a weird and very off-putting relationship dynamic that her husband or future husband, fiance, and his mother have had. It's gotten to the point where he is now seeking help to make sure that he's given the tools to create the boundaries, to make it a healthy relationship. Now, it takes 2 people to have a relationship. It won't get any better until she chooses to also get help, because on the pace they're going now, I think they already said it. They're low to no contact. She thinks that she can ask if she can come along to the honeymoon because apparently she saw this on Facebook and everyone's doing it now. Everyone's relationship is not your relationship. Just because it's a fad somewhere does not mean it's a fad everywhere. She got her answer. And then she starts kind of like negotiating her way down. So not the whole 2 weeks, just a week. And then it gets down to from a week to give me 5 days and you can make as much noise as you want.
Ugh.
Yeah. She didn't care about you throwing those obstacles because she doesn't have boundaries with her son. And if she doesn't have boundaries with her son, she doesn't have boundaries with anyone. It almost sounds like the son was the glue. You know how sometimes people say it, that a child is the glue to a marriage, unfortunately?
Yes.
I hope that's not been this and why she's had this type of relationship with her son. My question would be, though, she's only asked you, and then the father has only asked you about this vacation / honeymoon trip that they want to accompany you on. What I'm wondering is how come your fiance hasn't been on these phone calls to make sure that it's understood by both parties that this is not happening? Does she ever explain why it's not her fiance as well with her?
No.
Okay. It's very unhealthy what's going on in this story. You're definitely not the a-hole. Keep your boundaries.
So the consensus on Reddit is that our OP is definitely not the a-hole. In fact, many of them says this is a recipe for disaster. Your fiancé should be the one that's setting these boundaries down. And if he can't do it alone, you can be there for him, but he needs to be the one to say it. It can't be you arguing these points. Otherwise, everything will be bounced off as if you're talking to a wall and you're the one that's made into a villain. Now, I do like what one commenter said, and it's one of the things that the naughty side of Voyse thought of. Let them know that you're going to that location and then secretly change it to somewhere, anywhere else. Block them on everything for those 2 weeks. They don't need to know where you're going. That, in my opinion, is too much information if they're not willing to accept no as an answer.
I wouldn't go as far as switching it up, but I would
switch it.
I also understand the feeling behind it. I wouldn't change my plans of where we wanted to be on our honeymoon for someone else just because they can't see what we're trying to say. But that's some weird stuff.
That's a lot of weird stuff. I read that and I was like, no. Well, let's go on to our very last story of the day. And it's a little bit of an older story, but it's still from in this year. And I can't wait to hear what you think of it. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to get over what happened in the past? I am new on Reddit. So for some background and context, I, 54 female, have one daughter, Ella, 28 female, with my ex, Dylan, 57 male. Dylan and I amicably divorced when Ella was only 4 years old. A few years later, I married my now husband, Jack, 55 male. He was a single dad of 2 kids, Jason, 25 male, and Sophie, 27 female. Jack and I also have a daughter, Bella, 17 female. This is about Sophie and Ella. I always thought since they were closer to the age, they would get along really well, and I was right. They were like best friends, and we were really happy in our blended family. When Ella was in college, she met this guy, Brian, 30 male, at a cafe where she worked. They started dating. I was happy for Ella. Brian proposed to Ella in front of our whole family, and it was very romantic. Everything was fine until one day, Ella came to our house screaming at Sophie. She claims that Sophie has been sleeping with Brian. I told her she must be joking. Sophie would never do that to her. There was a lot of screaming until Sophie finally said that she and Brian are in love. This caused more commotion. We did have an extremely hard conversation with Sophie. She showed her remorse and was very guilty. We tried to talk to Ella, that Sophie was sad and maybe she should forgive her, but Ella was having none. She went on to more screaming and bashing all of us that we are abandoning her and picking Sophie. That is not the case. I tried to make it as peaceful as possible, but Ella didn't want that. When Ella and Brian broke up, he started dating Sophie. They got engaged within a year. Sophie wanted Ella to be a bridesmaid, but Ella just said, "Over my dead body." I thought it was really cruel of her to say that, and she was being petty by holding on to the past anger. Needless to say, she didn't come to the wedding. Rather, she left the city to live with her father. She didn't contact us much except for Bella. I thought she might need some time to cool off, but I was hurt that she kept us out of her life. We only got some insights from Bella and Jason. She only sends me cards on my birthday, but hardly ever spoke to me. I think it was unfair. One day she came to our place. Sophie and Brian was also there. She gave us an invitation card to her wedding with someone named Ray. I don't know much about him. She didn't even include us in the wedding party. Plus, the venue was a 4-hour drive, and the hotels in that area is expensive. We did agree, but at the last moment, Jack got sick, and I had to cancel it. When I told her the reason I cannot come to her wedding, she told me to not bother. She made the right choice by not including me in her wedding. She knew I was a bad mom. It really bothered me. I always wanted to be by her side, but the place and time she was getting married was not compatible for us. That was 2 years ago. She never contacted us again. A few weeks ago, my daughter Bella showed me a post on Instagram that Ella was pregnant. She posed with her stepmother with a caption like she will be a good grandmother. I was furious. How can she forget her whole family here? So I called her from Bella's phone and wanted an explanation. She replied that since I never bothered to be at her wedding, I don't deserve to be in her kid's life. She said it is not just her wedding. She claims I have never been supportive of her, that I do not care about her. She went on blabbing that she never felt like she had my support. Even when she got cheated on and I chose my stepdaughter over her, I told her it was not fair for her to hold that against me till now because it was 6 years ago. She has moved on and Sophie has moved on as well. She is being petty by holding on to something that happened years ago. So, did I do anything wrong?
You have painted us a Christmas extravaganza.
Of epic proportions, it sounds like.
It's a good way to end the year. I am in agreement with everything your daughter tried to explain to you. You know how like some parents, I just don't know what I did wrong. Well, your daughter on that phone call explains exactly why your relationship is where it's at with her. Did not leave a stone unturned. And yet you finited it down to she's just blabbering at you. You deserve the hole that you're in. You were not supportive. This story, there's a lot of people inside of it. I'm not even going to bother going down the timeline of this because you need a flow chart. There's so many people involved. But what it really comes down to is you didn't support your daughter when she needed you to. In fact, you, by agreeing to be a part of your stepdaughter's relationship with your daughter's actual ex, who was his fiance, correct?
Correct.
You never gave her any support. I didn't hear any of that. I think when she left you guys, she probably did what was best for her mental health. And I don't care whether or not it had to be your daughter against your stepdaughter. They're still your daughters regardless. What it came down to was you doing what was right. Cheating happened. I don't care if they loved each other. They should have broken up first and then pursued other happinesses. I could get behind that. If that is not the love of your life, don't marry him. That's fine. That's fair. But how they went about it was truly wrong. So if you not to have seen that as her mother and had her back during the tough times, that makes you a bad person in my book. At the end of the day, OP, you are the a-hole. You need to do some self-reflection.
So the consensus on Reddit is that our OP is definitely the a-hole. In fact, let me go ahead and read an edit, and then we're going to go down a big rabbit hole here.
Oh no.
Buckle up, kids.
It gets worse?
We're going on the Polar Express.
I don't want to be on that.
Edit. Look, I did not abandon Ella. I tried to be there for her. When she and Brian broke up, I went to her place to support her almost every day. I just think it is silly to hold on to something that happened years ago. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but she could have attended the wedding. I never pressured her. Yes, I was disappointed, but if she politely declined, I would have never thought it was cruel. And I tried my best to attend her wedding. We booked the hotel too, but Jack got really sick. We did apologize and promised to make it up to her in some ways, but she rejected it. So now let's go into the rabbit hole. One commenter said, "Couldn't go because Jack was sick? You could have still gone. You're the a-hole. Let her live her life and be happy." OP responded with, "Jack was sick. He couldn't walk properly because he became weak. I would have gone if I could. I sent a gift and told her we will make it up to her. It's not like I intentionally didn't go. I was devastated because of it."
Were you?
Another poster says, "This has got to be fake. You chose your stepdaughter over your actual daughter. She didn't forget her family. You abandoned her. This has got to be a troll. OP replied with, for the last time, I did not abandon her. She cut off contact with us. And no, I did not choose her over my stepdaughter. I love both of them equally. If I was in Ella's place, I would have at least attended the wedding and not leave the town without any short notice. I get that she didn't want to be a bridesmaid, but at least could have attended the wedding. So there was a second edit on the account. It says, hi, this is Bella editing. I have been trying to post a full update, but mods kept removing it. So my actual update is in the profile here. So they go, hi guys, this is Bella, 17 female, the half-sister of Ella. So basically I'm writing this update to clear things out. Basically this whole argument with Ella being pregnant happened 2 months ago. There have been fights and crying from my mom's part. I tried my best to explain to her that what she did was over the line and she cannot expect Ella to be okay with it after she, my mom, hurt her. My mom still insists Ella is being unfair. She thinks every other person would agree with her, LOL. So I gave her just that. I have been on Reddit for 3 years. I have seen how people tear apart people like my mom. So I told her that she should post it anonymously on Reddit. I did help her in the steps to make sure she includes everything, but she still left out some parts. I challenged her that nobody thinks she is right after the shit she pulled. It was hilarious to see my mom reacting to the comments. She genuinely thought people would be on her side. She read the comments for 3 hours. You guys even private messaged her, and those were the cherry on top. Seeing how people actually see her, she literally cried her eyes out. She is still in denial and keeps saying they don't know anything. Well, she had a breakdown of how cruel some comments and private messages are. My dad came home and saw mom crying and scolded me for airing our dirty laundry. My mom demanded that I delete it. Instead, I deleted the Reddit app from her phone, but now I am writing this to you guys. I must say, Reddit doesn't disappoint. I have been reading all the comments. They are entertaining. My mom refuses to look at them. She is a lost cause, but I am here to clear things out a bit. I am the observer of my family, so I have observed a lot of things. First of all, my mom didn't cheat with my dad, as far as I know, since some of you were suggesting. The divorce with Ella's dad was amicable, but that's what I heard. My mom has this weird obsession with having twins. She always wanted twin girls, but that never happened. Since Sophie and Ella are almost the same age, my mom pretended that they are twins. I think she created this whole fantasy in her mind that Ella and Sophie will do everything together and have a matching life. Though Ella and Sophie never had bad blood, they were far from being twins. They are like normal people, but my mom still wanted the twin lifestyle for them. Also, just like you guys pointed out, mom is the type of person who is family comes first. She wanted Ella to forgive everything and be okay with Brian and Sophie so that she, my mom, can show it off to other people that in our family, we always forgive and forget no matter how shitty the other person is. And Ella is ruining that Disney musical fantasy for my mom. My dad only cared about his bio daughters. Though he was never mean to Ella and always loved her, blood comes first to him as well. Jason pretty much doesn't give a shit. He and Sophie are not that close. Neither was Ella with him. I am close with Ella. The only reason I showed that Insta post was so that I can show mom what Ella is doing. She always asks me about her life. I thought this would bring some form of accountability from her part, but no. As you can see, I was wrong and I take full responsibility for it. Second thing, mom and dad did berate Sophie about her affair with Brian. Sophie started waterworks that she will do anything to gain forgiveness from Ella. Sophie even said she will cut off all contact from Brian. But Ella was having none of it. I think my parents got manipulated by the fake waterworks of Sophie That's why they kept pushing the forgiveness on Ella. And you guys asked what happened to Jack, my dad. Well, he fell down the stairs and hurt his back. I wasn't there because I was a bridesmaid at Ella's wedding. So I spent the whole week there in her town. Sophie and Brian were not invited. Jason was out of town too. But I still think if Mom made an effort, she could have easily made it to the wedding. She did try to say sorry and offered to pay for their honeymoon, but I don't think that is enough. I mean, it was her daughter, for God's sake. Lastly, Mom lied. Sophie and Brian are not a happy couple, LOL. They look like they are in the brink of a divorce. My mom still has no idea that Brian cheated on Sophie with a stripper on his bachelor party. Sophie forgave him because it was his bachelor party, so it doesn't count. I knew that she also cheated on him at her bachelorette party too. I don't have the evidence, but I just know. A month ago, Sophie decided that she would also try for a baby. I am willing to bet that Brian will skip town when that happens, or he might not be the father, but we shall see. Also, I am sorry for dragging you guys to my family drama. I just wanted Mom to see that she is wrong. Even she tried to save her ass by replying, but you guys gave her a new one. I was a little skeptical about posting here because I know a lot of you guys would think this is fake and not give proper replies. And sorry if you felt deceived that someone else coerced OP to make a post. So I am being clear once and for all. The first post was made by my mom. This update is being written by Bella, the youngest sibling. If you guys have any questions, I will try my best to answer them. So just so that you're aware, there is one question from the comment section that they asked Bella directly that I will read on here. They said, so how is she as a mother otherwise? Bella says, she has been good. Growing up, there was no scapegoat golden child scene except for the cheating scandal. She has been upset over Ella leaving the family. She is now a little calm after crying. Dad is handling it and told her to let it go.
Or take accountability for what you did. That might be a better way of handling it outside of let it go.
Remember, from how Bella described it, her father is very much about blood. Since Ella's not his daughter...
That's what I say. That's bad advice. It's just a really broken family. I can't feel happy for anyone involved here. It's a very gripping and spiraling story, though.
It is, especially since we hear it from the mother's perspective, and hers is already skewed. You can tell where she's trying to victimize herself. You know, I was trying to be the good person here. I don't understand why she can't get past it. And now she's accusing me of not being supportive, but I was there for her every single day as she cried. But you can't make everyone happy.
Nope.
And by you trying to play this game of making both your stepdaughter and your daughter happy in a situation where one of them was clearly wrong for their actions, you became the bad guy.
Brian should have been kicked out of the family to begin with. As a parent, I would have went straight to exactly what I say. There's no foundation if he chose to cheat on you when he had a fiancé. He will do no better for you. Why couldn't that have been the answer?
But the thing is, based on how Bella says, Sophie's also a cheater.
Sure.
So they're just a mess gravitating together. The one good thing, Bella seems to have a good head on her shoulders. And it seems that Bella and Ella, funny how they're so close together, but it seems that they are at least close siblings, which is great to hear.
Well, she's been able to take in this entire feud and drama from the sidelines, and she sees it for what it is.
Oh, yes.
Well, was that our last story?
That was our last story.
What a way to end off the year.
A bit of drama, a bit of insight, and something that's going to take a hot minute to fix if there's even any fix to it.
The mother just has to start with taking accountability if she wants any chance at that relationship.
Agreed.
Well, as our stories come to a close, don't forget, you see in the world what you carry in your heart.
If you have enjoyed listening to us read and talk about today's stories, please rate, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content. We normally post on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. However, we'll be taking a little bit of time off to spend the holidays with family, and we'll be back January 3rd. So we'll see you next year. We would also like to go ahead and tell all of our patrons, thank you so much for your support. I would like to go ahead and let all of our listeners and our patrons know, thank you so much for following us on our very first year of posting. This has been a journey. Reading your guys' comments has been a treat. And I hope that your Christmas and your New Year's are amazing. Please travel safely.
Yes, we love and appreciate every single one of you.
You can't top that, Timstradamus.
I'm not going to. You summed it up well.
Thank you.
Well, listeners, we'll leave you off with a question. What are the holiday plans?
Ooh, is there going to be a hoo-hash feast?
Who knows? Maybe. I know we're about to go ice skating and look at some Christmas lights.
I have only ice skated once before.
It's going to be a good time.
I'm a little nervous.
Time to run over the boy.
I can't wait to see our son ice skate.
And remember, if you post it, maybe we'll see it on the internet.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
Merry Christmas.